Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to episode 3 of the Marvel Annotated podcast. Now, on this episode, we'll go over the casting for She-Hulk, Black Widow potentially premiering on Disney Plus in the United States, the Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay, and how She-Hulk may be introduced to the MCU. Now, overall, it's a rather jam-packed episode compared to previous weeks, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, the first 3 segments are uploaded at 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. respectively, all Eastern Time. And if you'd like to hear the full audio version with a bonus 4th segment, follow the podcast on either Spotify or SoundCloud. Links should be in the video descriptions, but you can also search on either Spotify or SoundCloud for Marvel Annotated. And those versions are published at noon Eastern Time, same day respectively. And by same day, I mean Tuesday, since this podcast is scheduled to come out every Tuesday going forward. I'm really excited to get into these topics. So with all that said and done, let's get into it. All right, so for this second topic, we're going to talk about Black Widow potentially joining the Disney Plus premiere following Mulan. Now, after several delays with Mulan, Disney finally decided to try this new method of distribution, which was basically adding Mulan to Disney Plus with this premiere tag branding. And it basically required you as the user to have a Disney Plus subscription, which is about $7 a month, plus an add-on price of $30 a month. And the way they justified this in like board calls and everything was telling people that they are emulating a similar model to like pay-per-view. And at the same time, outside of pay-per-view, if you do go to a theater, you usually do spend at least about $20. You know, if your ticket for sure is like 3D IMAX, $20 is kind of your baseline that you're expecting to pay per person, I would say. And then on top of that, concession items easily add up. If you want just like a popcorn, a drink with taxes included, that's probably going to be closer to $10 than $5, I would say, if you're like someone who gets the large items a lot. And, that plus the ticket price, it kind of brings you to about 30. So I guess you can see how they kind of justify it. But obviously for people seeing this for the first time, I mean, it's kind of like a shocking thing. Like, wow, I already pay for this Disney Plus service and you're going to make me you're going to make me pay an extra $30. Now, with Mulan, it did receive mixed reviews, but it did also at the same time gross Disney $261 million in pure revenue in the US where it was released. And that doesn't even include the overseas gross. And this is actually an important thing to note because it's very attractive to Disney and other companies that would want to emulate this, because usually when Disney releases a thing in theaters, right, you split about 50% of the revenue with theaters. So if the ticket is $10, let's say for this example, the theater might take like, let's say $5.50, and the other $4.50 goes to the studio Disney. In this case, the entire $10 goes to Disney. So in theory, by Disney grossing about 261 mil from this Disney Plus premiere release, it is similar to Disney with the film grossing like 522 mil in normal circumstances, which is obviously in that kind of light rather impressive, because if you're assuming that something like Mulan, which I think only about 30% of the Disney Plus subscription audience really actually viewed and paid for, if you're assuming that more people would sign up for Disney Plus and a higher percentage of people would check out Black Widow, let's say you hit about 400 to 500 mil, right, from grossing on Disney Plus with the premiere branding. That is like, if you're hitting 500 mil, that's like the movie making a bill in like a regular normal circumstance for domestic gross. So that's a rather impressive feat, and it seems probably realistic for a movie like Black Widow that not only has a lot of anticipation because it's an MCU movie, but also it's going to be one of the few new blockbusters really released, since a lot of things keep getting pushed back and people were just hungry for a safe means of watching these movies. Now, with Black Widow, it does provide an interesting option for the US market, just because the movie is set to come out in November. But naturally, if theaters don't open in larger capacities, especially in larger markets like New York, LA, the film can be released overseas where things are more stable, but not having those major domestic markets is kind of a problem to really have the peak gross that Disney would want to have, which is why revisiting the whole Disney Plus premiere thing makes a lot of sense. Now, Disney seems to be going forward with releasing this movie around November because they started the localization process for Black Widow, which proves that they're rather confident they'll release it soon in some capacity, since the localization process is essentially the process that a studio does or a distributor does to get the movie dubbed. So like in India, for example, they've started the localization process to have the film done in, I think, 4 or 5 languages that will be available for theater markets in India. I'm assuming if they're doing that, that means that they're confident they're going to release it. And what they might do is like a hybrid thing where overseas it's in theaters a week or so before it's then available on Disney Plus for people in the United States. And maybe they're going to do a geotag thing where it's like, well, actually, I don't even know if they could do a geotag thing like that versus a pure umbrella. So I think if they do a hybrid thing, it's safe to say it will be in theaters overseas, and for like a limited time, it will be on Disney Plus, and you'll have to pay the add-on premiere price of $30 on top of your Disney Plus subscription. Don't be surprised if you hear an update about that soon. So far, nothing is confirmed, but Black Widow is seemingly following in the footsteps of Mulan in a lot of instances, which a lot of people have been tracking. And I'm not against it because I have popcorn at my house. I am more than comfortable with making snacks are a lot cheaper at the grocery store near me than they are at the movie theater. I will miss the environment, the atmosphere of the movie theater. I worked at a movie theater in high school for a few years, so I definitely love that experience. And I'm very familiar with it in terms of the benefits of it. But at the same time, in this environment, I mean, businesses are going to business. You know what I mean? So if they can make 100% of the revenue doing it this way, and they are confident, Mulan made over 261 mil. For sure, Black Widow will probably make closer like to 400 mil. I mean, they're going to go for it. The only real negative, I guess, is fighting piracy and stuff like that. But I'm sure Disney, being Disney, has mechanisms in place to limit piracy as much as possible. So that's really it for this segment. Comment below what you guys think about the whole Disney potentially releasing Black Widow this way. Would you like them to do this? Would you pay for it? Or do you hope that they just hold on steady, delay things until like 2021, and that way you can just watch it in theaters more or less the same time as everyone else worldwide and just go from there? And we'll move on to the next topic. And that's it for this episode of Marvel Annotated, the podcast. Leave your comments down below, your thoughts. What other topics would you like to see us explore in the future? At the same time, don't forget to check it out on Spotify and SoundCloud if you're listening to the YouTube segments. As well, this series comes out every Tuesday, so stay tuned every Tuesday at 4, 6, and 8 p.m. Eastern Time for these segments to upload. If you're a fan of Marvel, and just leave comments down below on what you would like to see us talk about on the next episode next Tuesday. And with that said and done, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you guys later.